This is the fucking GCW show, or is it Visits the Tavern? We're doing a little like combo action, Mike.
Some crossover in.
We're doing a little crossover action. I'm your host, Chad. With me, as always, Mr. Mike Belcaster, the motherfucking truth. Guys, typically we show up when there's a GCW weekend and break down all the action from the weekend that was, but there was no GCW this weekend. But we have something even better at the Tavern. We have our first guest on the fucking GCW show. You've seen him in classic bangers a lot lately. Joey Janela, Psycho Clown, Mascara Dorada, tons of great matches. Yeah. But I think it's time we bring in our guest, the bass god himself, Gringo Loco.
Guys, how are you?
I'm gonna shake your hand.
He's jabbing and dusty.
Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Gringo, what's going on, man? How you
What's
been?
up? Did you guys hear me now, man? Sorry about that.
Yeah, we got you.
Doing very well, man. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, we're stoked to have you on the show, man. Like me and Mike kind of started doing this show because we were just loving what GCW is doing, and you have been that guy consistent. After every GCW weekend, we come on here and our minds are blown by what you've been doing recently. And I know, your days with GCW, correct me if I'm wrong, they go all the way back to like 2018, right?
They do, yeah. So my first official date was Spring Break 2. That was 2018. So I don't know if you guys want the funny backstory to that, but I wasn't going to do that show, man. I didn't know what it was. I had no idea how important and how big and how vital it could have been to my career. And rest in peace, Marcus Crane. He was the one that convinced me to do the show. He was like, this is going to be either a make or break moment for you. You need to do this. And I looked at the map from Cleveland where I was when he was telling me this. And I was like, dude, it's too far to drive. Because at that point, I wasn't getting flown anywhere, And I was like, I'm just not going to do it. And somehow, Marcus just being as adamant as he is sometimes, or was, I should say, he convinced me to fly myself down there, and he was 100% right. Everything came from that Spring Break 2 date. Like apparently a lot of eyes were on the product at that time, obviously because it's GCW. I had no idea, bro, and everything just kind of gelled from one thing to another after that chapter in time. Man, it's crazy.
Yeah, wow, man. Like you've been like kind of a staple of. You start out as kind of a staple of those scramble matches. Like you were always shining in those matches. But before we get into that, can you just touch on like Marcus Crane and what he meant to that GCW locker room? Cause we hear everyone just really rallied behind him when the tragedy happened, but can you kind of just give us a heads up on all of that with Marcus?
Yeah, he was a pillar of GCW from the original shows that they were putting on in Jersey, man. He would make those trips so often from Chicago to Jersey and Chicago to Philly. And, I think he was just such a vital part to GCW's history. And then when we got the news of what happened, I know that I woke up to it and just bawled my eyes out, man, because, he was so important to me and just not just that Spring Break 2 date, but really keeping me going in my career as a whole. I mean, we were buddies for sure in Chicago. He was a Chicago guy. We would hang out outside of wrestling, and so many times I'm just like, dude, I'm done. Like, it's not for me. It's just not happening. It's at that time it might have been 10, 12 years in. It's like it's over a decade. It's like, bro, just listen to me, man. Trust the process. Like, stay in and just see what happens. And he convinced me to do Spring Break. To convince me before that to stay in wrestling as an entirety. And I do owe him a lot. I owe a lot of people a lot, but definitely Marcus Crane is one of those guys that was super important in my career.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, rest in peace, a good brother, Marcus Crane.
Fuck yeah.
So was there a moment we talked about? I mentioned you kind of becoming a staple of those scramble matches, and here lately, you've had the Janela match. You had Psycho Clown at If I Die first. You had the Mascara Dorada match that was awesome. Was there like Do you feel the fan support growing? Because we do. As fans, I can feel it. At every show, it feels like you've got more and more people behind you.
I definitely do. It is a different feeling being on this wave in my career. It's definitely something I've never really experienced to this extent. Going back to 2018, 2019, when I was first starting out with this company, I remember saying after every single match, wow, that was really fun. That was super exciting. The people were lit. The people were smart. Like, I think I want to keep doing this. And it really was the spark to the gasoline that I needed to keep going. And then I wanted, I'm the type of person that does everything 10 out of 10. Like, I'm not just going to half ass anything. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And I really, really wanted to do GCW full time, but it wasn't the right time for me to be full time. And then I got discouraged again. And then the pandemic happened. And then I was like, I'm definitely done now because now I'm like 40 pounds overweight. There's no way I'm going to get back to where I was. The people are not going to care. There's so much more talent out here. It's just, I beat myself up so many times. And then I just keep coming back better than ever. I don't even know. I can't explain how it happens, but I mean, we're here and this wave that I'm on is just incredible. Everywhere I go, the Psycho Clown match is definitely the most talked about thing at the merch table. The boys in the back tell me about it. And I went into that match knowing that we were going to get a little nutty, but I didn't think it was going to have as an impact as much as it has since then. And that was not, we're a couple months removed from it now. And I just think that people are really, really liking what we created that night.
Dude, that fucking the goalpost spot blew the fuck up, man. Like everybody was resharing the gifs. I mean, that was everywhere.
Yeah, I think so. The actual dive off the goalpost was fine. That walk on that little bar that I had to make before getting to that, terrifying, bro.
Oh, 100%.
Everybody was already chanting "Holy shit" as I'm climbing up the stairs, and now I'm looking at this beam. And I have to get across it to get to the spot. I'm telling you, man, with all that pressure and everybody, hoping that you don't fall, you could feel the energy, like, please don't fall so you could do something cool for us. I mean, you could go back and watch it. Like, I took an extra 1.5 to 2 seconds of, like, catching my breath, making sure I get to the post. And then when I got there, I smile and I'm like, I'm here. And then I yelled, GC fucking W and just, like, launched my body. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a memorable night. I could feel it in the air. I could feel it right afterwards. The right-hand man of GCW, John Carlo, came up to me for the first time. I was like, we're gonna do a video right now. Like, are you ready? Like, I was getting pulled 3-4 different ways. I was like, holy shit, like, I think something really special just happened.
Hell yeah. No, those after match packages that GCW's been putting out lately have just been fucking stellar,
They're
man.
just like magical, right, bro? Every time I see them, I'm like, you're a fucking wizard, bro. You're awesome.
Some of the best like content that you could possibly want out of an aftermath of a match or a show, man. Like we love that shit here. We're like,
and it was instantly done. It was like less than an hour after the match was done. It was up.
That's wild.
That's amazing. Like, so I'm just a normal dude. I don't jump off high shit. The most I did was when I was, a teenager jumping off rock cliffs into a lake where there's a very soft fall. When you're, and even that, like I'm walking to the edge of the cliff. I have this hesitation. What's going through your mind when you're doing some of these high spots like that? Like, are you just not thinking? Are you just leaping to not allow yourself to get nerves, or like what's in your head at that moment?
So I'll give you guys like a backstory that I haven't given any other podcast, man. I'm actually not nervous doing this because early on in my I would say, I don't want to say my career, but like my life, I used to jump off shit through plywood that I bought from Home Depot. And it wasn't like I didn't do backyard wrestling or anything, but it was like I would do stunts and film them because I was a big like Shane McMahon person when he would jump off shit and like make it look really awesome. So I got like really addicted to like stunt work. So I would do a lot of that type of these things and stuff in a different capacity. I would also go to like gymnastics places and like jump from really high platforms and stuff into like pads. I remember I had a platform in my backyard that I used to jump through like just regular brand new like cardboard boxes. So like I've been doing this for years and I had no idea that like people would respond the way that they did to the Psycho Clown thing. But that dive to me, honestly, you're asking me like what was going through my head. It was like, this is going to be easy. Hopefully, like I'll land it clean. Obviously I hope I land it clean. Let me tell you another behind the scenes secret. It was supposed to be 2 tables laid next to each other and him, on one. He stacked them both on top of each other, which makes it, harder to stick the landing, which I did, thankfully. But I got up there and I'm like, holy shit, he didn't do it how I thought he was going to do it. But yeah, so like I have a lot of experience in that type of environment of like high areas and landing safely. So, you know, I think it's really the tip of the iceberg. Seeing how people responded to that, I think there's a lot more to come.
That's what I was gonna say, man. I get this feeling that we haven't even seen what is to come. When you see like the kind of the crowd response to that, it's got to get your mind turning like, oh, wait till you guys see what I got up my sleeve.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw the entryway. I'm just giving you guys all the secrets tonight. I saw the entryway to the World on Lucha, and I know the production guy, and I was like, "Yo, I'm going up on that tonight." He's like, "Oh no, you're not, man. It's too flimsy." I was like, "Dude, you have to reinforce it when my match goes on. Like, just do something." But it was definitely on my mind to do something that night, but it wasn't in the cards. It was too dangerous because the thing could have fallen down. But it's definitely on the horizon. I can tell you that much. That like. Again, judging by the response in Dallas for the Psycho Clown match, I can definitely do a lot more with ease. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens.
Hell yeah.
So did you guys, like, you mentioned World on Lucha. How did that come together as far as like being a part of the collective that weekend? And how much of a hand did you have in putting that together? Was Brett involved in that, or was that all on you? Like, how did that all take place?
Yeah, so he started like kind of asking me and guiding me on like, hey man, could you like get like some really cool wrestlers, luchadors from Mexico, like whoever and like could we make a match? And it was 2 cup stuffed after All In, All Out, one of those 2 in Chicago, and I booked that entire thing, and it went really well. And then he started giving us more and more opportunities on different like shows here and there, a couple in Jersey, a couple here, a couple there, and they were just going really well. So then I got my wheels turning because again, I go 10 out of 10 on everything, and I'm like, yo, why don't we do this on every show? Not just to get me booked, but we could call it like the Lucha Corner of the GCW show. You can announce it as, and now the Lucha Corner, or the Lucha, whatever you guys want to call it. It'll just be like our little spot on the show to showcase what we can do. And he's kind of a guy that goes all in on everything as well. And he was like, let's just do an entire show during WrestleMania weekend at the Collective. And I'm like, yes, of course. I will 100% be interested in doing that. I mean, and then we announced it, and it got like a bunch of buzz the first night. I was sitting at an airport. All these messages started coming in, all the, congratulations and stuff. I really became aware of how watched I was being or becoming. And I mean, we were just off to the races from there in terms of promotion and who we could get, and realizing that it was going to be an extremely busy weekend and who was going to be available to us. But I think it turned out really well. Yeah, I had a hand in booking the entire show. Brett had an influence, but I think that most of it was my idea. And I think we had a little bit of everything, which every GCW show does. That's why it works so well. You got the hardcore, you got the high flying, you got this, you got that strong style. We did that, but with just a lucha format. And I think based on everything that I've heard, people are really happy with the outcome. So as we are. So
yeah, it was a blast to watch, man. Like there was a few shows out of the collective I watched, and I had my eyes on the World on Lucha so hard because I was like, fuck yeah, dude. I was like, Loco's got this shit going down. And I love the way you hyped it on Twitter, because you're like, who wants to see the matches? He's like, fucking retweet this shit. Give me some likes, man. And like, you did such a good job at it, man. It was just so fucking cool.
I definitely made him work for the announcements. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's great.
So like when you put that show on, and that weekend just had so many banger events, from Planet Death to, For the Culture, of course, Effie's Big Gay Brunch. I mean, it was just jam-packed. Spring Break Part 1 and 2, so many things. Like, and when you have your hands in something like World on Lucha, when that event ends and everyone's there in the locker room, what's the feeling like after you pull something off like that?
Oh man, I have never been pulled in so many directions at one time in my entire life. It was insane. everybody wants to do this, that, this guy needs to get paid. Hey, what are we going to do about it? It really was insanity for about 90 minutes to 2 hours after the event. I didn't know what was going on. And when I finally sat down and like digested what had happened, the only thing that I could just think and just reflect on was how proud I was that it happened, that everybody was, they were good, they weren't hurt. And I was just excited to see what the fans thought, honestly. I wanted to see what the reaction was on Twitter. And everything was positive, from top to bottom. The ring announcer was happy. Hugo Sagunovich was happy. Everybody was just happy to be a part of, essentially history. Like it's the first, real authentic lucha libre that GCW presented. So it was amazing. I mean, it was euphoria, I'd say.
Sweet.
So do you think like just being a fan and watching kind of GCW grow right now, I feel like me and Mike always talk about it on the show about how every show it gets better and better, from the production packages to everything is improving. Do you think that, you guys had that epic show at the Hammerstein? Do you think that was kind of like a sticking your flag in the dirt moment for this company where it's like, hey, we're here?
I think it was definitely, we're not playing around, and we haven't been, but now we're definitely here, and we're going to make our name a staple in the professional wrestling industry. I mean, I got to that building, I had seen it growing up, 15, 16 years old, watching ECW pay-per-views on my little TV in my room, man, and I'm just standing in this building. It's bigger. It's more beautiful than I would have ever imagined. I think complete success, right? I mean, definitely historic. For an indie promotion with, no corporate backing or, essentially television going into that, to sell it out without one match announced is really saying something about the fan base of GCW, man. It's incredible.
Oh yeah, no, it's awesome to see it growing like rapidly too. Like it's like we started this months ago, but like Chad was saying, like just seeing it evolve and get better and better every week, every show. It's just it's really badass that you guys are sticking to your guns, making it beautiful, man. I'm here for more pro wrestling, obviously, but you guys put on you guys got a different palette than most companies, and I fucking love it and respect that shit, man. It's just awesome. Kudos to all of you, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We're definitely happy with the turnout of Hammerstein. Absolutely.
And what's it like? One thing I love about you guys is you're bringing in, you're going to these different kind of unique venues. I think back to the Outlaw Mud Show in Wyoming, and and going to Harpo's in Detroit, and then they were just at the Roxy on the Sunset Strip. So what's it like going to all these unique venues and putting on shows?
I mean, obviously, as soon as you mentioned unique venue, I was like, I wonder if you saw Wyoming. Probably like, excluding some of the Mexico City venues that I've ventured into, probably the most unique time and experience and venue I've ever been a part of. I mean, we're in the middle of a ring surrounded by sand, and there are goats and chickens running around as I'm moonsaulting off of a cow fence. Like, it's just so goddamn unique, and it's an unforgettable experience. Roxy, again, legendary venue. Everybody's been there. Every famous artist has, that was anyone has performed in that building. It's just incredible, man. Hammerstein, the list goes on and on and on. And then we're gonna do what was it, Slab City or something? You remember that?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I didn't know anything about it, and then I Googled it and YouTubed it. I was like, this is a crazy area to do a wrestling show. Like, he was like, really, for whatever happened, it got shut down. But had that happened, it would have been insane. I think it was going to be outside because it was during the pandemic, and it's like a town that has like no laws. Like, it's a town that runs itself. I mean, it's perfect for GCW.
Yeah, that's one of the things I always look forward to. Like, what the fuck? Where are they going to show up next? I hope you go back to Wyoming, because that was such an original show. Like, it had such a vibe to that show.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We all talk about going back to Wyoming. Though it's not just you; it's everybody on the roster. And I'll tell you what, man. You'd be surprised how great some of the restaurants are in Laramie, Wyoming. They are fantastic.
I bet. Yeah. I bet. Like, I went to Jackson Hole one time, and they had like I mean, the steaks, if you're a steak man, I mean, you're going to get the best steaks ever in those parts of the country.
Yeah.
Um, you've talked about Mexico City. We talked about GCW. What can you describe? Okay, I'm guessing you said you watched ECW as a kid. So I'm guessing you were a fan, obviously. But
Of course,
what
yeah.
was that moment where you were like, I want to be more than a fan. I want to actually do this. Was there a specific moment where that happened for you?
Yeah, I'd say the match that had the most impact on my career is definitely Barely Legal, their first pay-per-view. It was Kai and Tai versus Sasuke. Yeah, who else was in there? Yakasiji. I don't know if you remember, it was some dude in like a green outfit, and like they were doing these slick ass lucha libre moves that I was training lucha libre at that time, but I had never seen that stuff done. And I would replay it, put it in slow motion, trying to figure out how they were pulling these things off, and telling myself I'm going to do this one day. It's going to look exactly like that, if not better, and I'm going to put this art on a fantastic platform, is what I was saying when I was a kid. And I think I'm doing that now. Like, crazily,
Absolutely.
Lucha Libre is just taking off, especially with my first show going in. I wanted to be the most authentic possible, because of what I went through as a kid watching those types of matches. And I remember my first training session in Lucha Libre in Chicago. They were doing those types of moves and getting on each other's shoulders, and like just with like such ease and fluidity. I couldn't understand how they were making it look like that, and essentially dedicated my life to doing it, like looking exactly like they did when I was a child. Man, it's crazy.
So
Badass, man.
how does a kid in Chicago? It's one thing to pick, hey, I want to train pro wrestling. It's another thing to be like, I want to train lucha. How did that decision come about?
So this is how it happened, man. High school, we're watching pay-per-views, we're watching WWF, with Rock, Stone Cold, Diamond Dallas Page, all these guys. So we went to a gymnastics place during open gym, and we started wrestling on that blue tumbling floor. We like rented out like a square of it, so that nobody would bother us. And we did that for like 2.5 to 3 years, once or twice a week. And all we were doing were, finishing moves, man, rock bottoms, stunners, diamond cutters, but like on that blue tumbling floor, which wasn't, the most comfortable thing to bump on, but it was what we had, right? So we went up to them and we were like, "Hey, can we like rent out the entire gym?" How we did this, I don't know, but she liked us, so she was like, "Sure." We started like throwing mini shows in a gymnastics gym. It was incredible. So it was just, I remember it was every Wednesday, and we were sitting there just twiddling our thumbs, kind of bored, and like we see this guy doing tumbling, and he sees us doing our training. He's like, "Oh, where do you guys work?" And we named our jobs, Jimmy John's, Papa John, whatever the hell. He was asking us like, where do we work as wrestlers? Because he saw that we kind of had it down, and we were like, "Nah, man, we don't know what you're talking about. We don't wrestle." He's like, "Oh, you guys have to meet me at this spot at this time next Thursday," which is sounds kind of shady. But we took him up on the offer, man, and it ended up being a Lucha Libre gym here in Chicago that was so discreet, bro. Like nobody would have ever found this spot had you not been taken there. And that was the first time I saw a ring, first time I saw the Lucha Libre training. I mean, it happened so young. I think it's such an impact at that age. It was explosive, and it was everything that I wanted, and it was wrestling that I saw on TV, but it was more acrobatic and athletic and fluid. I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to get out of this. And here we are. A fan asked me the other day, and I actually broke the math down to him. It's about 20 years now that I've been in it, and just trying to, hold it, in the highest regard in terms of the wrestling community. That Lucha Libre has always been where it's at. You know what I mean? Authentic Lucha Libre is the shit. And I just want people to know that.
You're doing a good job, man. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I've actually I'm from Chicago as well, and
Nice.
I worked my first indie show, and you were on the card, and I had no clue until I was looking it up, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And it was when you were working at Resistance Pro. You did a little stint there, and it was like my first time being backstage.
Billy Corgan, dude.
Yeah, a fucking trip, man. And I was like, "Holy shit!"
Was this at the Excalibur nightclub?
Yeah, what a venue!
Dude,
Speaking of unique venues, man, that place had like a Fight Club feel. It was such a fucking trip,
it was
man.
so sick. It was so sick.
Hell yeah.
And then
So
like it had like the 2-level rafters.
yeah.
Yeah. So you had the full crowd, then you had a, one level and then a second level of people looking down. And I remember being pretty amazed by that venue. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you guys you worked the Soul Touchers with Marche
Oh
Rocket and
yeah, you got a good
Acid
memory,
Jazz.
man.
Yeah,
So
man.
the crazy man, dude. So like talk about beating myself up. I had to. So that was the match that I had to follow. It was Pac, Zayn,
Yeah.
and Owens in a 3-way dance, and I had to follow that. And I know that we didn't have the best match. And I went
Yeah.
into a boiler room after that match, and I sat there for an hour. Nobody knew where I was, and I knew that Raven was there, and he watched that match. And I kept telling myself, my career is over. And I think I actually left the business for 6 months after that.
Wow.
When I finally reappeared from the boiler room of Excalibur nightclub, people were like, yo, where the hell were you? I was like, oh, just hanging out. But I was literally beating myself to shit in a boiler room in a nightclub because I thought the match was, not the greatest. But definitely have matured since then. Thank God I'm here, and I understand that one match is not make or break. So
you left a
yeah.
footprint for me. I remembered it, so I was like, "Hell yeah!"
Right
I was
on,
like,
man.
"This is fucking sweet, man. That's cool."
That's
I
awesome.
became friends with Robert Anthony, Ego Fantastico.
Oh yeah,
he's a good dude, and he always puts you over to the moon when I bring you up. I was like, "You fucking work with Gringo, man." And he's like, "Oh, good guy, man."
He's great. No, he's a
Hell
staple in Chicago wrestling, dude. He's been around forever. He's been around longer than me.
I seen you did that taser on a pole match with him in Freelance, man. How was that for you?
That was my idea.
It's fucking great.
Yeah, I mean that was what a unique time. Freelance wrestling was one of the best chapters of my career, man. The Logan Square Auditorium, it's a venue here in Chicago, and got renamed the Loco Square Auditorium because I got so over somehow. And we had that little story there with the taser, and he wanted to like actually kill me. It was so good, dude.
It was
fun,
great, man.
Yeah.
What were those early Chicago days like? Like, because you worked a lot with AAW too, right?
I did, yeah. I mean, I essentially I'm not like saying this for sure, but like I definitely was the Lucha Brothers before they were actually the Lucha Brothers. Like it was me and Mini Charlie Manson brought Lucha Libre to the Chicago AAW scene. Everybody knows it. Danny Daniels knows it. Mike Pekovich knows it. We were like the pioneers, and then for whatever reason, like it just didn't go anywhere. But like we had definitely a fun time in AAW. I want to say it was like 2008 or 9-ish, man, and we were in there, Berwyn Eagles Club, super pressure cooker, man. I remember being so nervous and so young, just not wanting to mess up because that could be like my make or break day, my make or break date. And I remember, especially that first date that he gave us, we had to go out there and kill it. It was me versus Mini Charlie Manson. And we came back and the boys were all there clapping. And he hands us a list of the entire date for the dates for the rest of the year. And we were like so fucking happy, dude. We were like, damn, we did it. We have like all the dates for the year. So yeah, so many like different chapters because I've been around a long time. You guys bringing this up is really jarring my memory of just crazy, awesome times in wrestling. I wouldn't change it for the world, man.
Yeah, man. I love the Berwyn Eagles Club. I work there now with Rob with his little I forgot the name
Dub,
of BC Dub, brother. And it's a blast, man. Like I'm a commentary guy. I love it, man. It's a fucking trip.
So how did you go from, just Chicago to like training in Mexico, and like what were the steps that made that happen?
Yeah, that was just a young kid coming out of high school, tired of like working delivery jobs and saying, I'm just going to pull the trigger and see what happens. Like I'm not paying rent. I'm still with mom. My car is paid off. I like have like this stash of money. Like, let me just buy a ticket somewhere in Mexico and see what happens. So I was doing these big lucha shots with like Lucha Legends and the Congress Theater here in Chicago. And like I had like a kind of a buzz going, and like one of the biggest stars of CMLL at the time was Tarzan Boy. And he happened to see the gimmick that I was doing with the throwing tortillas, and he saw the heat that I was getting. And he like came up to me in broken English before I left. And he was like, please call me. And he gives me this piece of paper with a bunch of numbers on it. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like maybe we'll do that one day. So I saved that piece of paper. And when I finally, got the guts to buy the airplane ticket to go to Mexico City, I had that piece of paper, went down to Mexico City, had no idea how to dial so many numbers, had the hotel front desk call the number. He didn't answer the first couple of times. So I'm just like this kid in Mexico City with nowhere to go and not knowing the language. And I'm like, damn. I stayed in my hotel room for 3 days, because I was scared to go outside because I'm a foreigner, don't speak the language. I'm probably going to get everything stolen off my body, right? of what I thought, because I don't know, it's kind of scary. And then I had them call him again, and he finally answered. He was like, "Yo, where are you?" And he came to my hotel, picked me up, and then he took me to Arena Mexico, which I had no idea, how important and influential it was in the wrestling business. And I'm up there like training with like Ultimo Guerrero, like pillars of like the most prestigious Lucha Libre promotion in the world. And my introduction really to Lucha Libre as a show, which is kind of incredible, was I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Mystico versus Black Warrior mask versus mask match. And the entire Arena Mexico was completely sold out. And I have like a little seat right by the ramp where they come out. Like that's where he got me a seat at. And probably the most incredible experience of my life, man. I'm like, this is, it's all the moves that I had seen in like these little training arenas, but like at like, times 10. And the people are going out of their mind. I don't even know that it's mask versus mask. I'm like, yo, these people are going out of their minds for these guys. Who are they? And huge impact on my life, my career. And obviously at that point, being in that situation, I'm like, this is what I want to do.
Love it.
So
that's awesome, man.
That seems like one of those moments where it's just dreams realized, like, I have to do this.
Yeah, 100%, man. You're looking at 19,000 people sold out, going out of their mind. And then some dude takes his mask off and it's like the biggest deal in the world. I'm like, oh yeah, I could do
this. So when, man, that's the balls on you as to get a ticket to go to Mexico City, nothing guaranteed. All you have is a fucking number written down and you just show up. Like, what's going through your head when you're like getting off the plane and walking around? Like, are you questioning the decision? What's going on in your head, man?
I think once I got to that third day with no answer, I'm like, what am I doing down here? This is scary. Like, who am I going to hit up? Like, how am I ever going to get into a wrestling ring down here? It's like, I didn't know how it was going to happen. I knew like my little insurance plan was, I know that I can go to some place called Arena Mexico and I can definitely like wait for him by the locker rooms and be like, yo, I'm that dude. Like if he didn't answer, so I had that little cushion of hope. But I mean, I knew that I trained my ass off the first time I went to Mexico City. So I put in all this work to look the part and I just needed an opportunity. And once he got a hold of me, I ended up staying with him for a couple months and he got me like these dates at like these really hot arenas. The people were just packed and like they were super responsive to everything. And I just fell in love with it more and more and more, just like super deeply obsessed with it. And I really haven't ever looked back. Like even you mentioned the Excalibur date with Resistance Pro. Like even then I had like a lucha guy with me as a partner. I don't know if you remember. This has been like a constant thing with me. When I used to work Pro Wrestling Blitz, I had a lucha guy with me. I was always trying to get the lucha influence on the scene more than it already was or wasn't at that time, you know what I mean? But it's always been a constant in my career. And it's definitely deep rooted and there's a reason, like I'm telling you the experiences of what led me to always try to influence it in the wrestling business. So
that's
bad. And speak to that. Like, do you feel like, do you kind of wear that as a badge, kind of honor of trying to get that out there to the masses in the States, to give more shine to it? Like, what is that is it just your experiences and falling in love with this? But like, speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, I think I wear it as a badge of honor now. Again, like throughout my whole career, I just knew that it was different and it made me stand out to get booked in the first place. Like always a lucha guy, he can bring like something new. Maybe we'll use him this time, but now I think it's more of, now let's really show the people like what we can do. Like I had my own show during the collective with a lot of eyeballs on it. Like it was streamed. I don't even know how many times. Right. So now like I showed them what's authentic. Now I can show them even more so like in a different capacity. We can definitely get like a couple women's matches on there. We can get a little more hardcore. There's so many other talents that we didn't use or didn't have space on the first one. Now I can show you like this type, like there's a group called Las Shotas, it's Diva Salvaje and I forget the other names, but like that's a different like type of serious but yet comical type of wrestling as well. There's so many angles to this wrestling, to Lucha Libre wrestling that people haven't necessarily seen yet, and I'm excited to show them. You know what I mean? Like it's just, I don't know. I just think it's really cool.
That's awesome.
I mean, I've
man.
been doing it my whole life. Like, I just think it's fucking awesome. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
man.
just got to keep going at this point. Like, if I stop now, it was all for nothing.
Right.
So, like, take the hottest GCW crowd you've been in front of and compare it to the hottest Mexican crowd you've been in front of. How do you compare these two fan bases?
Oh, so it's completely different for me. So like hot in the United States, I've been a babyface somehow. I don't even know how that happened, but for a long time in the States, and then like I'm definitely a heel in Mexico. So it's different. It's definitely two different atmospheres. But I think like honestly, the first date that Tarzan Boy got me was in Arena Nesa. It's like in a really hood area, and like people are super passionate about it. And I was this newcomer, and I had American flag pants and I had braids. Nothing has changed much. And I knew enough Spanish to cut a badass promo in front of that hot crowd. And I remember them throwing, before the match even started, like throwing bottles, throwing coins, and throwing anything they could in the ring. This is before the match even started. But I was like really thriving off of this atmosphere. And I remember saying like, yeah, I want to do this, but I want to make them even worse next time. You know what I'm saying? So that one definitely comes to mind. Man, raucous in terms of American crowds. There's so many. Obviously, GCW is on top of the list. Let me think. I know every time they come to Chicago, it's super raucous because I'm from here and I'm over and like, it's kind of an easier crowd. But like in terms of like rowdy, man, give me a second to think about that. What comes to mind? Man, both of them were in Chicago. 2-cup stuff and 3-cup stuff were both after All Out, and it's just like it's the matches that I book. And they're lucha, and they're in Chicago. Like you can't go wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? I know exactly who goes with who on what side. I gotta say Chicago, man. It has to be, man. My hometown. It's just they get so out of their mind with the creativity that we're giving to them in front of their eyes. It's just I love it.
Love to hear it.
Yeah.
What you guys are? I'm not from Chicago, but Mike, Gringo, you guys, tell me what's the place to get the best pie in Chicago?
Okay, so you're talking deep dish, man.
Yeah.
Everybody in the world is going to tell you Giordano's, but unfortunately, that is like number 3 or 4 on my list. Giordano's has a lot of promotion behind it, but I mean, if you're talking a really good deep dish pizza, man, it's Lou Malnati's. Would you agree, sir?
Yeah, I would 110%. It's something with the cheese.
It's
sauce,
the tomatoes, the full tomatoes in it.
Yeah.
As I'm talking about it, because I don't really do carbs anymore, my mouth is watering. Like
they got that crustless pizza too with the sausage.
So what
slam.
they do, man, that's true, bro. And I had that the other day. I might order one right now. I think they close at 10 o'clock. I might get one. But so what they do, for my man that doesn't know, they put like instead of like sausage pieces, they put an entire sausage circle on top of the deep dish pizza.
Yeah,
brother, it is the best thing ever invented.
Yeah.
It's the best pizza that exists.
Yeah, man,
for sure.
I had a gluten allergy for a few years there, and I was like, "What am I gonna do without pizza, man?" And then I seen that sausage crust. I was like, "My dude's got me, man."
Dude, when you just said crustless, because I did do the crustless once. This big ass light bulb just formed over my head, and then I looked at the clock. I was like, "I'm going to get one tonight, bro."
I'm cheering for you, brother.
God, it's been years, man, and I forgot that it was even an option, man.
Oh, it's the best. It's the best.
One thing I've heard you talk about in previous interviews, and was your relationship with Mustafa Ali.
Oh yeah.
And you guys kind of came up, tore it up together. Can you talk about that bond you guys have and that chemistry and that you share, and kind of the early days where you were both kind of pushing the limits?
Oh man, yeah, this is going back almost. Yeah, I met him before I was officially a professional wrestler. I was still in training. I was going to shows, putting up the rings, helping out with merch, anything that anybody needed. And I saw this guy doing these amazing maneuvers that I had never seen before, like these cool ass, like multiple dives per match. And I'm just like, yo, who is this guy? And his name was Alto at the time. And he had a mask. And I like just made it a point to definitely go in the back, meet this guy, tell him how amazing I thought he was, and that I wanted to work with him someday. And he, again, these are all things, the entire career kind of gels within itself to the next chapter. He invited me to this place that was in Chicago up on kind of the west side. And it was like a truck trailer dock area. Like, you know, you ever see those, you know, Amazon has them, but it was like in one of those docks. They made like a wrestling gym out of it. And then when I found that place, I told my lucha people about it, and then they started coming. But then on the days that we wouldn't go, the American guys would be training, and he would always be there, and he was super good. And then I finally worked with him. One of my first matches was with Ali, and he killed it. And one of my first flights ever was me flying myself out to Anthem, Arizona. And Anthem was a place that had just been built, so like all the grass was perfect, all the concrete was perfect. It was like a fake town, but real, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like the playground hadn't been played in yet. Like it was just wild, man. And we had such a bang. Like it was my first like wrestling trip, and I didn't know if I was going to get paid. I was just there for the experience. And we went out there and we tore the house down, man. And you know, throughout our careers, our paths have crossed so many times. You know, he posts those videos when pre-pandemic, when he used to come up and train, and then we get all those views and all those likes. And like to us, it was just like, you know, second nature. Like, yeah, he knows, I know this is about to be a badass spot, and like people are really going to enjoy this, you know. And yeah, super bond, super, you know, humble, just loyal, awesome friend, man. And when he got signed to WWE, I was so happy for him, for his family. Like, I know that's, you know, he was another guy that let the business go. Like, he did his career as a police officer and then came back and still knocked it out of the park, which means, like, if you have the talent, just never leave it. It will happen eventually. Like, he's a prime example of that. Like, he left wrestling, you know, like he wasn't taking it seriously at all. He had a career as a police officer, and then he comes back and he signs a contract with WWE, and like he's just amazing now. Looks better than ever physically, you know, like a perfect promo guy. Like, I mean, killing it with Daniel Bryan, like, you know, all the things that he's done. This was all after he thought he was done with wrestling. So
that's wild.
Yeah, a true inspiration for me, at least.
Hell yeah.
And I love it too, because he sticks up for he's sticking up for what he believes in. You know, like he wants out, he's going to sit out. I respect that so much, because so few people will do that, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you saw the post. He's like, what, you know, in 2.5 years, all your favorites are going to be beaten by me, or whatever he said. It was something cooler than that.
I love it.
Oh, can you imagine? Like, everybody's like salivating at the mouth, like, oh, can you imagine Ali versus this one and this one? And imagine how the landscape will change from now until 2.5 years from now. Like, I'm a completely different wrestler from 2.5 years ago. Imagine, you know, how many up and comers are going to be stars at that point, and they're going to be like, oh my God, Ali versus Gringo, or Ali versus Strickland, or whoever, you know. And he's just gonna be amazing. He always has
100%, man. Yeah.
So we kind of mentioned your match with Janela and Dorado and Psycho Clown, and you even had Ninja Mac was in there. Like, out of your string, just maybe keep it to this year. Like, who are those opponents in GCW that you even if it's just guys you kind of match up with in a scramble? Like, who are those guys that when you get in a match with them, you guys just have this chemistry, or you look forward to matching up with them?
Well, I mean, as soon as Dorado got released, I was like, hey, Brett, we have to get this guy. I've known him for 15 years. We trained together in CMLL in Guadalajara. Like, we know each other. He's a great dude. Let's do it. And he was like, oh, yeah, that's my favorite wrestler of all time. I was like, oh, sick. So, yeah, obviously he was number one on the list.
Got audio. Can't hear you.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yep.
There we go.
We got you.
Sorry, the freaking phone call came through. Sorry about that. In terms of like chemistry or working, definitely Jack Cartwheel is up there. Mac is up there.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, ASF is up there. The kid is unbelievable, bro. He's unreal talent. And surprisingly, Effie and I, the little stint that we had in Atlantic City, there's a chemistry there as well. There's so many other guys, you know, just being in the ring with Matt Justice a couple times. It's a whole different ball game of energy, man, in terms of fans, in terms of him as a wrestler. I learned so much in just the 2 times that I was in the same ring with him. And then, like, a lot of these guys that they're bringing in, I'm just looking forward to just knocking out of the park with all these talents. It's endless. You know what I mean? I never thought Janela was going to be a thing. I just thought he was just over there. It's never going to happen. And then it got announced for LA, and I'm like, holy shit, man. It's fine. Like, I had been waiting on that match for a very long time. And again, like I have experiences with the doors and all that, so I already know how to get nutty, and I think it turned out pretty well, man.
Oh,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
you guys tore the fucking house down, man.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
we have a segment called the BMF every time we do our GCW weekend, and like
Yeah.
you've been on the list at least like 2 or 3 times where I'm like,
Yeah,
fuck
bad
yeah,
motherfucker
dude,
of the weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I appreciate
Gringo's
that.
got his shit going, bro.
I really just try to do 1 or 2, maybe 3 unique things a match, and then obviously the greatest hits, which are very good things. But I go into all my matches hesitant, if you guys can believe that. Like I want it to be good, I want it to be memorable, and I take that for every single match that I go into the ring. I don't want to go in there, phone it in, go home, collect the money. Like I want everything to be memorable. So that's always my mindset, man. I don't know. It's just I want it to be special for you guys.
You achieve it, man. You definitely achieve it. Last couple questions before we get out of here. We asked about kind of the vibe of the locker room at World on Lucha, but what's just, you guys are kind of like a band of traveling gypsies that just happen to like do destructive shit in the ring. What's it like
Every night
in the back? What's that like?
It's 100% a family. Every person gets along, and if there's any drama, I haven't heard of any of it since I've started at GCW. And if it does exist, it's very short lived. Brett is very on top of things in terms of that. It's very hard to have an issue with people that you love so much. I could never see myself getting upset with Mance Warner, Matt Justice, Effie. Like how these people are the most lovable people I've ever come in contact with in the professional wrestling industry. And then obviously the after parties are just so much fun. So
Of course.
it's and like you said, man, you're seeing these people every 2 weeks now, and you care for them so much. It really is like a family. That's all I can say, man.
That's fucking great, man. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's what I think all the fans like want to hear, because it feels like that. I feel like you can feel that in the ring, that you guys are having fun.
Oh, we are having a ton of fun, man. It's so motivating because you want to make them look good. They obviously want to make you look good. I mean, that video of Mac and I with that top row power bomb got 3.6 million views. I can't tell you how that locker room received that. The next town or wherever, they were like, dude, like it's at 1 million, it's at 2 million. It's just, they were letting me know. I didn't even know at the time, and they were like, you passed 2 million, right? Just incredible stuff. It's just so. I don't know. It's euphoric, man. I don't know how else to describe it. I'm just so happy to be a part of it. Like I wasn't full time for so long, and I just wanted to knock that door down and be a part of it. And I'm finally there, man.
Yeah. I mean, you're popping up in the mixed tag match when it was Second Gear Crew and Friends with you and Dark Sheik popping in there. I love seeing that stuff. The kind of mix and match. It's great.
Yeah, really looking forward to Detroit, man, against Bussy, man. That's going to be a fun one.
Oh,
so excited, dude.
It's going to be a good
one.
Me too. So just kind of wrapping up, man, like what's kind of the future of Gringo Loco? What do you have any goals for the foreseeable future for you?
Man, I just want to keep killing it, man. Like I said, I'm on some kind of wave right now. I realize that. And number one would be stay healthy. Let's not get hurt. Let's not do anything too crazy. We'll do crazy things as long as they're controlled and going into it with a positive mindset. But I just want to stay steady on the GCW wave, the boat, whatever you want to call it. And I just really want to see where that takes me. I want to see what the future holds, just like you guys do as well. So in terms of goals, man, I mean, like I said, stay healthy. Keep the dream alive. Keep killing it in the ring. That's pretty much it, man. Sell a bunch of merch,
Right.
Got to go to the merch table, guys. Go to the merch.
Plug that merch, man. Plug that merch.
Yeah, all right. So we have one final question. We always like to cap any interview we have with this question. You're making towns. You're in a car. You're town to town doing shows. You can have any 3 wrestlers, alive or dead, in that car with you making those towns. What 3 wrestlers are you riding with?
Damn, probably Eddie Guerrero, because I want the stories, right?
Yes.
Rey Mysterio and the original Psychosis. Or you know what? If Tajiri knew a little more English, that would be dope too.
Hell yeah.
To get all those stories. But definitely some of those ECW guys, I want to pick every inch of their brains on what was going on when they were performing all those. Essentially what we're doing now, right? Like it's kind of the same idea and same group kind of thing that we're doing. I would just, you know, I had a couple minutes with Rhino in Detroit at one of those shows, and I don't know how I got separated with him, but he was like, "Yo, you know, come in this room or whatever," and I was picking his brain for that 5 to 10 minutes so hard on like, you know, what were you thinking, what were you feeling, were you nervous at Hammerstein the first time, blah, you know. I would just pick a lot of those ECW guys and just try to understand and like where the nerves were. Maybe it was more controlled, and you were more ready, you know, and you know, how did it feel to like power drive women, you know, to the table to the outside? Like, were you nervous that you were going to hurt them? Like, just little things like that. I would be fascinated to know about, man. So definitely Eddie. Like, I would want to know like how hard his training was. Kurt Angle would be another one because I read his book about how hard his training was, like to become a professional wrestler and stuff. Just so many questions I would have for those guys.
Oh yeah,
I love it, man. So
couldn't pick a better group of fucking people, man.
Yeah, I want to be in. I want to be in that car.
Right.
Let everybody know where they can find you, Gringo. Like all your social media, any events you have coming up. Plug away, dude.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, so Twitter, it's Gringo Loco OG. And then we got the Instagram, which is I am Base God with underscores on the in the middle of the words. I am Base God, and that's where you can hit me up for merch personally. I send everything out Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And yeah, a bunch of cool merch out there, man. Just trying to give people things to buy that I would buy, you know, like you know, coming up with cool shirt designs, pins, you know, pictures, all that good stuff. So yeah, man, just keeping the professional wrestling dream alive little by little.
Awesome, man. Well, we look forward to catching you next time on the GCW weekend. We can't wait to see
man.
these matches coming up you've got in store for us. I know, like you said, with that goalpost spot, that's the tip of the iceberg, guys. So keep your eyes on Gringo Loco. Thank you so much again for stopping by, dude. We're stoked to have you on the show.
Yeah, pleasure's all mine, man. Thank you guys for having me. Seriously.
Hell yeah, go get that pizza, dude.
Oh, I'm gonna order it right now.
Yeah, go get the pizza. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Go give Gringo Loco some love. Doing great things in GCW. Till next time, we'll catch you guys later.